Welcome back to the show. We continue our conversations with some of the new city councillors that will be sworn in tomorrow at 10:30. And I am joined by Marty Carr from Alta Vista Ward. Welcome to the show, Marty. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Derick. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. So for those people that aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about your background, Marty.
Okay, excellent. Well, I was originally from Ontario. Spent the first 10 years of my life in Prince Edward County, and my family moved to Alberta when I was about 10 years old. So I consider myself to be from Alberta. I went to high school in Alberta, in Edmonton, and university. In 1997, I moved to Quebec City to do a master's degree in applied linguistics, thinking that I would go back to Alberta at some point and teach. I went on a weekend trip to Ottawa to see a friend, met my husband. So when I was almost finished my studies, I moved to Ottawa. And then we settled in Alta Vista when my daughter was about 6 months old in 2004.
Okay.
Moved in Alta Vista. I've got a son now, 16. My daughter's 18. And love the community. And professionally, I was working in the federal government as a director. But I was the head of the Community Association in Alta Vista and absolutely loved being the Community Association president and being so involved with those municipal issues.
You obviously grew to love this city. What stood out to you that you wanted to stay here and make a life here in Ottawa? Well,
my husband's born and raised here. He's an only child and his mom's here. So I don't know that there was ever an option to live anywhere else.
There's always an option, Marty.
But I really loved, once I moved to Alta Vista, it was the community. I loved, my kids growing up, meeting friends and family, and the community really became, my home away from home, since my own direct family was so far away.
Right.
So I don't know if it was anything in particular, or just really once I got settled in that family life, just really enjoyed the community and everything that I was doing there.
You've all been going through orientation, all the new city councillors, Councillor-Elects, I guess, until tomorrow. Well, what's that experience been like for you? For the most part, it's been absolutely fantastic. From the perspective of getting to know who you're going to be sitting with around the table. I mean, there's 11 of us. Now, granted, Steve DeRoche, he's kind of a returning councillor, right,
but, getting to know the new people, who they are, getting briefings on different files, it's been good, really good, trying to balance that with all the questions and that you're getting from residents that you can't yet respond to, really, and, requests for meetings and, trying to hire your staff, but it's been a great experience the last couple of weeks.
There's a lot of priorities when it comes to your ward and all wards, quite frankly. What's the number one priority for you, when you get going, let's say the first 3 or 4 months, what's the number one priority for Marty?
Yeah, it's really a hard one to pick one priority, I'll be honest. There's lots of talk in our community. I think you can check the news. Alta Vista really pushed back on the official plan. So now with Bill C-23, people are concerned about that. But at the same time, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks visiting a lot of our OCH, a lot of OCH communities in Alta Vista.
Right.
I was just at Confederation Heights this morning. I was at Blair Court last week. Food security is a huge issue, just basic needs. I also have Herongate in my community. So, there's a whole balance of issues between people concerned about development, people concerned about getting basic needs met, people, wondering what's next in terms of, the zoning review, transportation master plan, these sort of things. But overall, it's difficult to pick one issue. Our ward is so diverse.
A sustainable community is important to you, and that of course, comes back to housing as part of that, right? But climate change is a big part of that. What are some of the things we can do better as a city when it comes to sustainability? Yeah,
great question. And I think, for Alta Vista, one of the big challenges we have is the transit system. Well, once the LRT came into place, Herdman's the major station for us to get to the LRT. That's just outside of our ward. It's in Capital Ward. The transit system is not very reliable in Alta Vista. There's not a lot of good local routes. It doesn't serve those without cars that need to get there. And so to me, in order to get the cars off the road, you need to get incentivized to use the transit, but the fares are high. It's not meeting our needs, so that's a huge one for me, is transit to be a sustainable community. As well, a lot of the community infrastructure is just aging in Alta Vista.
Okay.
We're getting lots of people coming in, but community centers, places for people to gather, all of that has kind of been neglected, and I think that's kind of my worry about Bill C-23 is you're adding all these homes, but where the development charges may not be there, how are we going to get to that point where we are that sustainable community?
Yeah, that's interesting too. I think in your ward as well, you mentioned infrastructure when it comes to recreational facility. I imagine roads, pathways, sidewalks are all part of that as well. Is that what you hear from constituents?
Absolutely, and I'll be honest, until I started knocking doors, I wasn't aware of the situation with the roads as much as I should be. I've not been working at home for 2.5 years.
Right.
Not a big driver. I was well aware of the sidewalk issue, but we've still got some of those pre-amalgamation asphalt sidewalks. But the roads, I heard that at so many doors. Fix the roads, they're the worst in the country. So yeah, absolutely, heard it loud and clear.
We touched on, the relationships around. Are you encouraged of what you've seen so far? We had a very divisive final term. I won't say on everything, but there were some unprecedented things that happened to the city as well. Are you feeling comfortable going in that there is some relationship building that's happening and you'll get off on the right foot here?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident. I always pride myself on having good relationships, and I'm fortunate because I was so involved with the community association, to have had some relationships with some of the existing councillors and then getting to know some of the newer ones. I'm feeling really positive about the situation. It's not that I've talked to anyone or met to anyone who said, it's my goal to be divisive. Will you join me? That's not at all the messaging that you're getting from anyone. So,
one of the priorities you ran on is inclusive and accessible services. I imagine that goes into the infrastructure you touched on, but what else is making it less inclusive, less reliable?
Well, I'll just give you the example. We talked about transit. I met with residents at 1909 Russell. It's an OCH seniors building. They want to participate in the ward activities. They see things advertised. They can't get the bus to it. The sidewalks near them are crumbling. Also hearing from some francophones, we need to have more programming in French. So just looking, making some small changes so that more people can participate in the community, that there's services that are available. That same OCH building that I'm talking about on Russell Road, Dempsey Community Centre is right next door, but it's been housing the homeless population still to this day. So those sort of things are really important for me.
Marty, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And good luck to you. We'll be back with more right after this.
Thank you.